I didn't know this started.
Well, having somebody else pay.
I'd say.
Yeah,
Who picked the colors? So.
Hannah.
Okay.
So they're a little bright.
They are bright. But
I mean, I think it all looks good. So I would pick.
It's not quite Smurf blue.
I do think it.
I think it all comes together. The red is like a real dark red, and you don't notice it though because the blue is so bright. But I think it offsets it. It levels it. Yeah. It'll fade. I mean, it's
Right. Jeff doing tough.
No, I had some tough pointing down.
Right here on this side.
Had to do some work. Had to fix some stuff.
Oh, it's nice. Sorry. In-depth conversation. Right. All right. Okay, good evening, everyone. This is the City of Hannibal Official Council Agenda, Tuesday, July 5th, 2022, Council Chambers, 7 p.m. And I would ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Council members Phillips.
Here.
Welch.
Here.
Beach.
Here.
McCoy.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Dobson.
Here.
Councilmember Franke.
Here.
And Mayor Hark.
Here. There being a quorum, I'd call this meeting to order. Councilman Dobson, would you do the invocation, please?
Heavenly Father, in our hearts we plan our course, but we pray that you establish our steps. I pray that we seek you for advice. Let us not make decisions based upon what we know, but let us act based upon your wisdom. Please guide us, Lord. We place this meeting in your hands. We place our hearts and our minds in your hands so that you may direct us. Amen.
Chief Naki, would you lead us in the pledge?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, Council, at this time, I'm going to ask for a motion to approve the agenda as it is posted this Tuesday, July 5th, 2022.
So moved.
Motion is second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. Clerk, you're saying the minutes haven't been prepared yet?
No, they're not finalized
They're
yet.
not finalized.
At the
Okay.
next meeting.
Next meeting. Okay. Very good. Next item for the agenda is approval of payroll and claims for the second half of June 2022. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion. Second.
Motion is second. Any discussion?
Yeah, I do. You folks disabled my iPad and have not turned it back on yet, so I can't access this information. I'm wondering if I'm going to get that access back.
Mr. Mayor, that sounds like a question to take up at another time, the relevance to this. We have a motion, a second on the floor.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Abstain.
Call.
To approve payroll and claims. Council members Phillips. Calling the roll to approve payroll and claims.
No.
Sorry.
Yes.
Welch.
Yes.
Beach.
Aye.
McCoy.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Dobson.
Yes.
Councilmember Franke.
Abstain.
And Mayor Hark.
Yes. Council, under my name now for oath of office, I'd like to administer the oath of office to Melissa Cogdell as our Deputy City Clerk. send this one. Raising your right hand. I
I,
do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Charter of Ordinances, and that I will faithfully discharge the duties that in the appointment of officers or employees I will be influenced only by the consideration and in such matters will act with partiality. Very much. Got a couple. Welcome. Hey, Council, the next item on the agenda is Missouri Department of Transportation officials. If they would like representatives of those step forward. Thought I said something wrong.
Good evening. I'm Paula Goff with the Missouri Department of Transportation. With me this evening is Chris Knapp, our project manager, and Tanya Carlisle from our right-of-way department. Want to come and provide an update on our project to replace the Hannibal Viaduct. I'm going to take just a couple minutes because we have had some staff changes. Our area engineer, Brian Unteed, has now moved on to another position. Jeff Kroner has taken his position as area engineer, but just kind of want to recap because I know there's new people on the council as well as we've had some staff change. So I just want to take a few minutes to recap what got us here today and where we're at with this project. So in 2019 is when this project to replace the Hannibal Viaduct, which is the bridge of Missouri 79, first came into our 5-year construction program, also known as the STIP, which is the Statewide Transportation Improvement Program. And it was brought into the STIP because this is one of the structurally deficient bridges on the state highway system. It is safe to be open, and it will continue to remain open as long as the conditions warrant. But we inspect all of our bridges every other year or every year. This bridge is currently rated a 3, 4, 6. Those are 3 different ratings on a scale up to 10. When something falls below a 3, it has to be closed immediately. So that's why we have brought this into the STIP back in 2019 and started working with the city at that point in time. So it was in 2019, late 2019, early 2020, we started meeting with the city and emergency services because one of the first things we do with our projects is we look at where they are and what some of the significant impacts. They're going to impact the neighborhood, they're going to impact businesses, but emergency services. This is of particular concern with this bridge because of how Hannibal is laid out. So started working, giving notice to the emergency services so they could do their own planning to prepare for when this bridge is under construction. I think it's been just about a year. It was July 6th when Brian Unteed was here last year to provide an update. We were at the preliminary plans phases. So we had a general idea layout, general idea of right-of-way that would be needed, and provided the preliminary plans to the council. So that was just about a year ago. After that time, we started meeting with property owners to begin the process to acquire right-of-way and easements, as well as working with neighbors who may not have right-of-way that we need to acquire, but we know will be impacted. We have had numerous emails. We had a lot of Zoom meetings during the time when people were working remotely. So we've had meetings even though they've not been in person. So that brings us up to March is when I think we sent the information needing the easement. One of the things that we need is from the city of Hannibal. The original project was constructed in the 60s. It is not terribly unusual for there to be municipalities, whereas we're researching the right-of-way, that we determine that we don't have a clear deed. A lot of things were done by easement or agreement, even going so far back that there's some that were just handshakes. You know, the cities were just happy that we were coming through with the project. So the easement that we are needing from the city, and this is actually the final piece of realty asset that we need, we have everything else clear, is an easement so that we have everything tidied up with what we need from the city as far as easements. Chris can give a few details about the actual project. We shared last week some of the final plans, a draft final plan that I believe have been emailed out. So back in March is when we started working through the process to get the easements, and I know there's been some questions that we've tried to answer. There will be an impact during construction. What we have tried to do is structure the project so we minimize the impact, that we leave the existing structure open as long as possible. We are rebuilding the pedestrian walkway because that was something early on, since there is an existing pedestrian walkway. We are upgrading it. So to construct the project, we're trying to build as much of it, leaving the existing bridge in place, but then it will have to be closed for a period of time. So
130 days is closure.
130 days. We have in the contract, as it's currently structured, put an incentive in there for the contractor. So if they get it completed and open, not the whole thing completed, but get it open back to traffic early, they will receive a bonus. Just the same if they go after that closure time, there will be a deduction. So that's what we typically try to use for projects, especially bridge replacements where they're in a sensitive area where we are trying to minimize the impact. Currently, the project is scheduled for a letting in September 16th, which means then, assuming we receive good bids, it would go to our Highway Commission in October for their consideration for award. If we do not receive the easement and have everything, we have to have everything sent in. It was really due today, but we appreciate you letting us have time on the agenda so we can be here. And hopefully, if we can get the easement, then we can send in all of our right-of-way clearances for processing for this, because it has to go through our central office as well as Federal Highway. So if it stays on that schedule, we plan on a public informational meeting in October to let the public know about the closures. When by then we'll have the contractor, whoever it is, they can give us some of their ideas on exactly their schedule. We have tried, Hannibal has a lot of festivals and a lot of activities, but we have tried to, this current schedule, it won't eliminate every impact, but we're trying to have it so we can do the work starting in the winter of 2022, early 2023, and then going through 23 so that it can be completed in 2023. What other details have I missed?
The actual completion date is September 15th of 2023. And back on that incentive and disincentive clause that we do have in the contract, that is $20,000 per day, so it is significant. The contractor the incentive they can earn is up to 20 days or $400,000 bonus, or the damages, they don't have a limit. So if they go 10 days over, it's $200,000 in damage.
Some of the concerns that we know are out there is with the closure of the one-way roadways that are adjacent to the existing structure. As I mentioned, we're trying to build as much of this and leave the remaining structure in place, as well as with changing of the grade. So the angle by which it goes over the railroad track, that is going to be different because there's no longer one of the tracks that we have to go over, as well as to meet the American with Disabilities requirements of what grades we can have out there. So the new structure is going to be slightly shorter. We know there was a concern, and we have added that language, I believe, to the easement to the satisfaction to ensure that there is a minimum clearance as desired over the area that will remain open. So we feel like we've tried to address all of those issues. We know it will be different, will be a change, but unfortunately with all infrastructure improvement, there has to be some change, but for the outcome that we'll have a new structure that will be here for many, many years, so we don't have to worry about having an unfortunate and untimely closure. This is allowing us to replace this bridge in a planned fashion. questions.
Yes, I have a question. The September 2023 completion, is that going to also cover any of the beautification issues? In other words, is it just going to be open for traffic?
That's the project completely done by September.
Okay, so
September 15th of 2023.
okay, so the extension of the bike path to the Jefferson Street location will be finished, painting?
Contract completely finished and contractor cleaned up and gone by September 15th.
Wonderful.
And I don't know if you mentioned the letting date of September 16th, but the notice of proceed date will be, assuming we stay on the same schedule, will be December 5th of 2022. And that's the earliest they could get in and do some work. And we did design it so some of the substructure work can be done outside the footprint of the existing bridge. That helps keep that closure period down to the 130 days that we talked about earlier.
And there have been some questions. The existing lighting is currently Board of Public Works, even though it's a MoDOT structure. And with this project, we will be replacing the lighting, and we will actually be taking that on as a MoDOT responsibility on the MoDOT structure. It will just make it cleaner, and it'll be, just easier to have it all be our structure and our responsibility.
You mentioned that this is how it would be in case there was a delay or change in schedule. What would merit a change in schedule outside of weather circumstances?
The weather, but if we do not have the easement from the city of Hannibal, then we are not able to provide right-of-way clearance, which means that we have everything clear for any easements as well as right-of-way acquisitions that would allow Federal Highway to allow us to move forward with the project. We have to be able to say that we have clearance of all the right-of-way. So weather, of course, flooding is always one of the concerns, so that would be more of a major active nature, but putting the incentive, disincentive, that will keep the contractor very focused on maintaining the schedule as laid out in the project.
Does that September 15th date include contingency days, or is that a best case scenario?
They get additional damages on top of that $20,000 per day. There's contract damages if you go beyond that.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Hey, guys.
Thank
Great.
you.
Have a good evening. Thank you. James Lemon, City Attorney.
It's under my name, Mayor, because I think the original thing was under my name. I'm not prepared to give any kind of presentation tonight, but I can tell you my initial concern with this request for right-of-way was that I wanted to make sure that we had enough clearance to get semis and fire trucks onto the south side. I put the language in, not exactly as I proposed it, but with just some small tweaks. I feel like they've addressed the issues that I had. I think what they've articulated here tonight is the reason why they believe it is an emergency. I will remind the council, if you're going to take this up as an emergency reading, it needs to be clear, or it says something like distinct, that it is for emergency purposes. And I guess I would suggest that the reason for that emergency purpose would be that in order to enable it to stay on this timeline, minimize the potential burden and damage on them. That's what would make it an emergency. I'm not taking a formal position on that because I wasn't ready to argue that. That's what you would need, and you would need a 2/3 affirmative to prove this is an emergency reading.
Very good. Anything else, James?
That's all I had there.
Okay. Any questions for James regarding that? Thank you, sir. Next on the agenda is Jason Craigbaum with Hannibal Barbecue Festival. Good evening.
Hello, guys. Just here on behalf of, got all the paperwork and insurance just to put our events this year, July 22nd and 23rd and August 20th. Just asking for the Collison Street and the end of New London Gravel again, and then for the decibels. Never got anywhere close to it, but just protective purposes to get it raised during the event. Same as we've done the other years.
Same as
It's nothing's changed. Yeah, it's all the same.
purpose of road closure there at Collison, obviously, first and foremost was protection of the one house
Right behind my
right behind your
property.
property to make sure that they have free and
Adequate to
easy
get in and out of
ingress.
their garage. Yep.
And secondly, for in the event of any type of emergency, have emergency vehicles
Access to
can
get in and out of
access
there.
in and out quickly because you are talking about a large crowd there.
Sir.
Council, obviously, I won't be voting on this matter, just presenting the items to you. Looks like there's no request for additional law enforcement. It appears that Mr. Craig Bond secured his own security. Police and fire, there's no objections anywhere, or tourism. And you have the certificate of insurance.
Yes.
Present. Okay, if you give that to the clerk, sir. So, right, gotta have it. Okay, so
There were no objections by any of the department heads. I would make a motion that we approve the request.
Second.
motion is second. Any discussion? None. All in favor, say aye.
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 I abstain. Opposed?
Council members Phillips,
Yes.
Welch,
Yes.
Beach,
Yes.
McCoy,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Dobson,
Yes.
Council members Franke, and Mayor Hart.
Abstain. Motion carries, Mr. Craig Bob. Thank you.
Thank you all. Have a good night.
All right.
Next item on the agenda is April Azate with Azate Lounge. Okay. Good evening, April.
So I'm asking permission for my parking lot fundraiser party. I haven't the last couple of years. Usually every year that I do it for something here in town. This year, obviously, it's no surprise to anybody, I'm sure, up there that I love animals. So I'm doing a parking lot party for Nemo, and then I've been working on something in the last couple of years for a couple kids' activities and working on a board right now for that. So it's kind of going to be a conjoined thing between Nemo and that. Don't require anything other than the barricades that usually Rich drops off and then picks up Monday. I don't require anything.
Your council, just for your information, looks like requested times from noon till midnight, 13th of August. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. And indicated for fundraisers, assistance needed 4 city barricades, basically to block the entrance at Main Street, the alleyway. Will be the entire lot between.
So the side by the general store, actually, I don't even think that they were open my last parking lot party, but I usually leave that side open for the bands that will be playing throughout the day, and then like downtown employees, like general store employees, and anybody else downtown.
And council, only thing we need will be the hold harmless and certificate of insurance and a safety plan. You can get one of those safety plans from the clerk filled out. But that's the only things that have come up.
Second.
Okay, there's motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
And I actually wanted to touch base on a couple of things while I'm up here because Sunday a couple HPD officers came in saying that the city manager had called about a couple barrels that I had next to my dumpster.
Okay, hang on. Let me get this.
Council members
first, then we'll-
Phillips,
Yes.
Welch,
Yes.
Beach,
Yes.
McCoy,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Dobson,
Yes.
Councilmember Franke,
Abstain.
and Mayor Hart.
Yes. That motion carries. So you had an issue with parking or something?
Well, no, the last 5 years, I've put barrels, one in front of my dumpster because my staff can't get, when people think they can shimmy into half of parking spot, and then one for at least one of my employees. This hasn't been an issue the last 5 years, but I've had now 2 of my bartenders followed home at 3 o'clock in the morning when it's a holiday weekend or a festival weekend, and especially when they have to park 6, 7 blocks away walking home in some of the darker neighborhoods. I've always put that there and was told by the city it wasn't an issue, but I had 2 officers come in per the city manager. So I didn't understand why it was an issue
received
now.
a complaint.
Do what?
I received a complaint, and it is public parking, so I didn't have any. I wasn't aware if you have any written agreement or anything like that regarding the parking.
I mean, I was told 5 years ago that it wasn't an issue. I had told them about it. If I need to get something in writing, by all means. But when the 2 officers came in, I think it was like 10 or 11 o'clock at night, Sunday night, I think there was maybe 10, if not less, cars in the parking lot. Like the majority of the parking lot was open, so I'm not really sure why there would have been a complaint that late at night with the parking lot almost empty.
Well, it ought to be something that could be resolved.
Yeah, I mean, if we can just get it in writing so
Shouldn't be
it's
a
not
big-
an issue again, I don't know why there would be a complaint.
You said followed home.
I have had 2 girls, well, one of them that lived downtown, down by the movie theater, was followed home when she got off work because she would just walk. Festival, holiday weekends, it's just busy, hard to find parking. And then I've had girls that can't find parking in the parking lot and have had to walk. One of her family member lives, I believe it's up Hill Street. A lot of those neighborhoods just aren't lit
well
very
lit.
well. And, you know, people downtown are pretty unpredictable, festival and holiday weekends. And so blocking one spot so that either myself or staff, we can drive the rest of us to our vehicles. Having one spot, I think, just makes us feel a lot more comfortable versus having my girls walk several blocks at 3 a.m. when they leave the bar in dark neighborhoods.
Now I get it. First, I thought you were saying the police followed them home.
Oh, no. No, and actually Saturday...
That gave me a little heartburn, but I'm glad I...
Yeah,
just
Saturday,
followed you through
actually, I had ran in here and came back, and I can't think of this officer's name. He is absolutely amazing. And he was walking through the alley, and he was just like, hey, I was just getting ready to call you. One of my officers is parked in your spot. He called me and was like, is that okay? And I'm like, absolutely. If fire, HPD, whoever needs to park there, my concern is that we aren't walking several blocks late at night at 3 a.m.
Got it. Get that work.
Okay, and then my other question is in regards to getting on the agenda or special events. I know a lot of the paperwork has changed in regards to when stuff needs to be submitted. And this has been an issue for me in the past, and I've talked to several councilmen over years past that have said this is a deadline, and it seems like every time I try to get on the agenda for whatever, it's an issue.
Usually.
I've had
The
that issue
deadlines
also.
have not changed as far as special events. They've been prior for many years since council put the special event application into place. Because we have to route it through all the departments and get the comments back. Sometimes there are issues to seek clarification on. As a day, I was able to get on the agenda when she showed up at 30-ish on Thursday, which the overall deadline is 4 if you have a request to go on the agenda, but it's not.
It hadn't been routed yet. So
No,
that
it had
was the
not been. I
concern.
had, yes,
But you got it accomplished.
I did. I time and effort contacted them all.
Unless that was
to make
changed
sure.
in the last couple of months, I was actually told by several councilmen that it's 5 o'clock on Friday, but I know that the time has been taken off of the paperwork now.
The
at the
agenda
top.
goes out Friday morning, and it's never been 5 o'clock on Friday. It actually goes out Friday morning, or the earliest I can get it out. So
We
it's
usually get
never
our
been-
agenda Friday morning.
It's never been 5 on Friday.
I'd always told
Since I've been
everybody
doing-
Thursday at noon.
That would be for a general request,
Right.
not special.
Well, the
event.
paperwork used to say Thursday at 4, so I guess I think
that
a
was
good
for the-
solution to this, if we could have some type of clarification on special events, because I wasn't even given all of my paperwork
Yeah, that
to
would
fill
say
out.
that- Was put the times on the special event application. That way it's uniform. Everybody
Yeah,
knows.
I mean, the only problem is that
Right.
they get it. It'll stay on there. But
Right.
yeah,
Just put
it's
the
been that
times
way
on
for
to make
many
it
years.
Yeah.
make it easier for everyone.
Well, and even if, because I tried to kind of search on the city's website too, because I was trying to actually find the form so I could have it filled out when I brought here, just to make it easy for everybody.
Be
And
done. Come in, grab and go. Right.
And even the paperwork I filled out here last week, I noticed that the time was taken off of the agenda. It used to be at the top there. And I actually didn't even get all of my paperwork for the special event for like safety. I know there's new employees here, so it's completely understandable. And it was a festival week, so everything was kind of crazy. But I think that if things could be clarified, either on the website or on the paperwork, just so there's no confusion whatsoever, because I know this has been an issue for me multiple times. So I just want to make sure that I am getting paperwork in at the right time. It's not an issue. Everybody has what they need so that you guys can see everything that I'm requesting.
Reasonable. Reasonable. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next item on the agenda is Lisa Peck, some appointments.
Yes, good evening. I have before you the approval appointments for Parks and Recreation. Okay. Parks and Recreation Board, Beth Knight, reappointment for a term to expire July of 2025. Tom Batenhorst, reappointment for a term to expire July 2025. Quentin Heaton, reappointment for a term to expire July 2025.
Is there a motion to approve these three recommendations?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion over any one of those appointments? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Councilmembers Phillips,
Yes.
Welch,
Yes.
Beach,
Yes.
McCoy,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Dobson,
Yes.
Councilmember Franke,
Abstain.
and Mayor Hart.
Yes.
Okay.
The motion
And-
carries. Your next item.
Next, I have for you the approval of Board of Adjustment. Brian Raff, reappointment for a term to expire May of 2027.
Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Abstain.
Councilmembers Phillips,
Yes.
Welch,
Yes.
Beach,
Yes.
McCoy,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Dobson,
Yes.
Councilmember Franke, and Mayor Hart.
Yes. That motion carries. Anything else at this time?
None.
Next item on the agenda is Andy Dorian, Director of Central Services.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I have two items tonight. First up, David W. Ruby would like to purchase 409 South Arch Street. We did a title search. Everything looks good. So we would recommend sale to Mr. Ruby for $575.
It's Resolution 2421-22 to follow. Any questions for Andy at this point? Your next item, sir.
Okay, next up, at last council meeting, we approved the purchase of the 20 acres on Kiowa Drive for $73,080 and the additional couple thousand in expenses. This is the subsequent agreement with the Conservation Fund for the reimbursement of the $85,000 for that parcel. So that will go to pay for the parcel, and then there's an additional $10,000 or so for land management plan and an action from that land management plan in coordination with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. So this is very similar to the agreements that we have done in regards to Sedalis with the Conservation Fund. Basically, same plan. So,
Resolution 2422-22 to follow. Any questions for Andy on that?
Yeah, I do. So Andy, I get the gist of how we get this money. I think I have the idea of it in my head. You've explained it to me before, but can you help me remember the specifics? Because I see a pipeline mentioned here.
yeah, so years ago, it would have been the Enbridge Flanagan South Pipeline that went through the region. I think it went through 5 different states, had to pay mitigation money, environmental mitigation money, and in their partnerships with U.S. Fish and Wildlife, U.S. Fish and Wildlife partners with the Conservation Fund. So that money goes to the Conservation Fund. Then the Conservation Fund works with U.S. Fish and Wildlife to identify bat habitat sites, and then they make determination on where that money goes. So U.S. Fish and Wildlife came on site, did a site inspection, said this was a good habitat for bats. They would approve the funding to go to this. So that's kind of the process.
Did we go out and solicit this, or did they just show up on our door one day, built on a previously existing relationship? Or
Yeah.
all the above.
Yeah, so Sedalis was that. They came to us. Sedalis was, they went to the feds, they went to the state, they went to everyone. No one agreed. They came to the city. So we've kind of developed that relationship. They then since came back and said, look, we got some extra money. Is there any other properties? So we looked at the fly corridor from the bats that are monitored. And it's kind of neat. They fly straight to Mark Twain Lake through this corridor. So this was one of the sites that was convenient because it was already next to city property. We have a lot of woods there anyway. So the hope is we can continue to do land management plans on that existing site as well for that. Since then, we've also been in contact with the Heritage Foundation about site plans for Sedalis and for Riverview. Land management plans. These would be quite expensive, a couple $100,000 projects. So we're trying to write grants to get that so we can better manage our forest.
So this new place we're getting, is it a park?
Technically, yes, but it will be, since it's kind of out in the middle of nowhere, I mean, we don't have any designated plans for it other than just land management right now. The future, as a city, if they would ever decide to develop the landfill for something else, it could be turned into something like Sedalis.
Cool.
Andy, is it fenced?
It is not fenced.
Okay.
So,
Other questions? And like I said, resolution 2422-22 to follow. Andy, anything else?
that is it.
Okay.
Thank you, Mayor.
Very much. Appreciate it. Council, we have before us now resolution 2421-22. I need a motion to have the clerk read this resolution to call the roll for adoption.
So moved.
Motion is second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Abstain.
Councilmembers Phillips,
Yes.
Welch,
Yes.
Beach,
Yes.
McCoy,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Dobson,
Yes.
Councilmember Franke,
Abstain.
Mayor Hart. Resolution number 2421-22, a resolution of the City of Hannibal authorizing the mayor to execute a special warranty deed and agreement for transfer of real estate to David W. Ruby for the sale of city-owned property located at 409 South Arch in the amount of $575. Councilmembers Phillips,
Yes.
Welch,
Yes.
McCoy,
Yes.
Beach, Mayor Pro Tem Dobson,
Yes.
Councilmember Franke,
Abstain.
and Mayor Hart.
Yes. Declare resolution 2421-22 duly approved and adopted on this day. I have resolution 2422-22. I need a motion to have the clerk read this resolution and call the roll for adoption.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Abstain.
Councilmembers Phillips,
Yes.
Welch,
Yes.
Beach,
Yes.
McCoy,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Dobson.
Yes.
Councilmember Franke,
Abstain.
and Mayor Hart.
Yes. Declare resolution, you got it now, you got to read it. Okay.
Resolution number 2422-22, resolution of the City of Hannibal authorizing the mayor to execute a recipient agreement between the Conservation Fund, U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, and the city for receipt of $85,000 for the purchase of 20 acres of woodlands from the Wright Trust on Kiowa Drive. Councilmembers Phillips,
Yes.
Welch,
Yes.
Beach,
Yes.
McCoy, Mayor Pro Tem Dobson,
Yes.
Councilmember Franke,
Abstain.
and Mayor Hart.
Yes. I declare resolution 2422-22 duly approved and adopted on this day. We now have before us Bill number 22-016. I need a motion to have the clerk give this bill a second and final reading.
So moved.
Motion is second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Abstain.
Councilmembers Phillips,
Yes.
Welch.
Yes.
Veach.
Yes.
McCoy.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Dobson.
Yes.
Councilmember Franke.
Abstain.
And Mayor Hart. Bill number 22-016, an ordinance revising Chapter 28, Streets, Sidewalks, and Other Public Places, Article 3, Construction, Maintenance, and Improvements, Division 2, Sidewalks or Parkways by revoking and removing Section 28-105 specifications for sidewalks in residential districts. Second and final reading. Councilmembers Phillips,
Yes.
Welch.
Yes.
Veach.
Yes.
McCoy.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Dobson.
Yes.
Councilmember Franke.
Abstain.
And Mayor Hart.
Yes. Declare Bill number 22-016 duly approved and adopted on this day. We now have Bill number 22-017. I need a motion to have the clerk give this bill a second and final reading.
So moved. Second.
Motion is second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Abstain.
Councilmembers Phillips,
Yes.
Welch.
Yes.
Veach.
Yes.
McCoy.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Dobson.
Yes.
Councilmember Franke.
Abstain.
And Mayor Hart.
Yes.
Bill number 22-017, an ordinance revising Chapter 9, Article 4, Stormwater Runoff Management, Section 9-187, Stormwater Management required for all development in order to clarify that the power of waiver is vested solely in the city engineer. Second and final reading. Councilmembers Phillips,
Yes.
Welch.
Yes.
Veach.
Yes.
McCoy.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Dobson.
Yes.
Councilmember Franke.
Abstain.
And Mayor Hart.
Yes. I declare Bill number 22-017 duly approved and adopted on this day. Now I have before us Bill number 22-018. Need a motion to have the clerk give this bill a second and final reading.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Councilmembers Phillips,
Yes.
Welch.
Yes.
Veach.
Yes.
McCoy.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Dobson.
Yes.
Councilmember Franke.
Abstain.
And Mayor Hart.
Yes.
Bill number 22-018, an ordinance amending Chapter 9, Article 4 of the ordinances of the City of Hannibal by repealing and replacing Section 9-189, project classifications and fees. Second and final reading. Councilmembers Phillips,
Yes.
Welch.
Yes.
Veach.
Yes.
McCoy.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Dobson.
Yes.
Councilmember Franke.
Abstain.
And Mayor Hart.
Yes. I declare Bill number 22-018 duly approved and adopted on this day. Now I have Bill number 22-019. I need a motion to have the clerk give this bill an emergency reading and call the roll for adoption.
Mayor, if I
May.
may, I would suggest that whoever makes that motion, if someone is going to make such a motion, needs to include that this is an emergency based on public safety or whatever you all want to do it on, and that this is being read as an emergency for those purposes.
I'll make such motion
Based on the information.
based on the
provided,
information supplied by council.
Provided by Polygoff. Brian? Is there a second?
Second.
Motion is second then. Any discussion? Not all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Abstain.
Councilmembers Phillips,
Yes.
Welch.
Yes.
Veach.
Yes.
McCoy. Mayor Pro Tem Dobson.
Yes.
Councilmember Franke.
Abstain.
Mayor Hart.
Yes.
Bill number 22-019, an ordinance of the City of Hannibal authorizing the mayor to execute an easement for highway purposes to the Missouri Highways and Transportation Commission for the Highway 79 overpass. Emergency reading. Councilmembers Phillips,
Yes.
Welch.
Yes.
Beach.
Yes.
McCoy. Mayor Pro Tem Dobson.
Yes.
Councilmember Franke.
Abstain.
And Mayor Hart.
Yes. Declare Bill number 22-099 duly approved and adopted on this day. Council, closed session is not open this evening, or not going forward this evening. Presenter does not have the information they need, so there will be no need for a closed session. So
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion is second to adjourn. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, everyone, for attending.